Okay, this one is from Laura, and I just want to have a quick look at this question because it's quite intricate and it's a really, really important issue when it comes to channeling. So I'm really glad that she's asked me this question. Thank you, Laura. It's a great question. Right, so she says something like, right, she wants to know how to receive information more clearly. Maybe there are exercises or things that we can use to improve the communication. Or maybe the thing is recognizing when it is us and when it is them. This comes up quite a lot. I found channeling very tricky because when I sit down and meditate, I write things, but they could be an association of words. It's very different from when you are wondering about something, and when you least expect it, the answer appears in your mind very, very strongly. So I think the sensation is very different, she says. So I think what she's saying is, sometimes when we're just kind of doing the washing up or just kind of, wandering around, doing something, it's not on our mind at all, we will just find the answer just kind of drifts in. And when we sit down and we're trying really hard to receive the answer and to connect with me, speak with me, guides, nothing happens. So, and the reason for that, in my experience, is, you already know this before I answer it, that there's too much attachment. Too much attachment to an outcome. It's one of the reasons it's very difficult to do readings for yourself, because you cannot be completely objective. You have an outcome in mind. First thing that I would suggest is that you immediately start making the questions always about something else. And even if you start making the questions about someone else, that's still not detached enough, unless you're giving them a reading because they've asked you to. But if you're sitting in a room wondering, what is so-and-so thinking about my intention to do such and such, you're still not attached, and you also are kind of intruding upon their free will, their privacy, their space in a way. So here's what I suggest you do. Keep it very global. So to begin with, keep your questions very much about what could be done in order for humanity to achieve this or to achieve that, or to gain a greater understanding of this or that. Make it something that you are completely out of the way, detached from. The other thing that you say here that I find really, really useful is it word association or is it them? Yes, there are exercises if you're on a journey with me and we're learning together, there are things that I can give you that you can do to differentiate between what's your communication, from your, I don't want to say lower mind, from the unconscious mind, from your own motivations, and what's coming from your guides. There are ways of doing that, absolutely. It's just that I would like to be working with a person and taking them on a journey and seeing where they are in order to go into that in great depth. However, I can give you something that you might find helpful now, which is just when you go into that space where you are, where you've been meditating and you are open to receiving information, notice the wording there, open to receiving information, not looking, just open to receiving. Ask your guide. This is quite further along the process, because before this I would have asked you to ask your guide for a signal so you know when they're close, then ask your guide to start giving you gifts and communicating to you what they are. Ask your guide to start building a dictionary of symbols to communicate with you so that you develop a mediumistic relationship first, but that isn't always necessary. I mean, one of my guides I channel just jumped in one day when I was really relaxed. They always do it when I'm really, really relaxed, and others have experimented with that as well. So it could happen just very quickly. It doesn't have to be in that process. So with you, Laura, I sense that you need pushing along as well as detaching. You need pushing along further, more quickly. So I'm going to suggest to you that what you try is this. When you go into your meditation, you ask your guide, first of all, come close to me. Let me see how it feels when you come close. Give me a sign, give me a signal. This is when you've done your grounding, attuning, protecting and invoking. You've created a sacred space. Everything is divine. Everything is lifted to the highest frequency possible. And, you know, your guides, you have asked your guides to maintain that frequency while you work, no matter what. So you invite that guide to come into your space. We know who we're talking about here. Okay, he's actually here now. And, right, so you give me something then. Okay, invoke the violet flame as well. Fill yourself with it. Bring your energy up into that presence, up into that frequency. Lift yourself. Let yourself feel yourself become lifted. And then when that happens, what you need to do is imagine that there is some kind of a consciousness within you of a doorway, an entry point, something symbolic of where your guide enters. You don't immediately have to have the experience of your guide entering you physically. You can have the experience of where is your guide going to send the information, because there are different stages. Remember, there is the phase where your guide is communicating with you mediumistically and you're having a conversation. Then there is the phase where your guide moves into impressing their being, their consciousness upon you. So it's like a kind of mental mediumship channeling, kind of another progression. These are the phases that I've experienced. And then there is the phase where there is no space in consciousness between you and your guide, and you are speaking as your guide. So what I'm feeling your guide wants to experiment with you with is imposing his thoughts upon you, imposing his consciousness on you, and therefore he wants you to begin by imagining there is a doorway and seeing in your mind where that doorway is. What does it look like? Does it look like, I sometimes see it's like a chute. It's like a kind of, you know, like the helter-skelter, like the information kind of swoops down on one particular side, okay? Physical side, don't worry about left brain, right brain and what they do. If your guide chooses to swoop in on the left, accept it. So it's really just about you coming into a meditational space where you'll allow your guide to communicate that with you, to communicate with you which is the portion that I occupy, okay, which is the space I occupy. And then I want you to kind of give it, you can give it a name if you like. You can name it after your guide. You can say that's his room or his space. And you can ask yourself, okay, I'm going to ask myself this question. What would I say? You can give a name to that part of your brain that you would say is the interfering part, if you like, or the part that you're not wanting to hear from. It's difficult to explain all of this outside of a session, because when we do this in a session, we accept all of it. The conscious mind, the brain, is not trying to interfere. It just likes to be included, so we allow everything to be included. So you give that a name as well, and you honour everything that it is. How do you picture it? Do you see it as a space that's of a different colour? Do you see them as dark and light? Do you see them as on and off? So you're just beginning to develop a way of differentiating between the two. And I feel as if I've given you enough for now, and that you will be able to evolve this with his help. Okay, so it's just a way for you to start to recognise that there are different places that information will come in through, and just see what happens with that. That's all I'm going to say for now publicly. If you want to know more and you are able to come on the journey with me yet, just contact me and we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, I'll maybe answer another question for you in the future. All right, hope that helps you. Take care. Let me know. Post a comment below. And again, thanks for a fantastic question. Okay, bye.